will present to us what about social media against humanity. His boss is innovative planning and he's in level 3, and his target is to visualize aids, to provide effective visualized aids from 1 to 3, and the time of the presentation about 7 minutes. Thank you.
The other day, I was watching a movie with my friends, you know, these movie nights, and something super interesting happened. At the end of the movie, we started talking about the movie, discussing, and actually it was totally polemic. I loved it. But after a while, I realized how we were losing one by one as they started to use the phones. So annoying. No, I'm kidding. Of course, at the end, I started using my Instagram too, because we all love it. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, members of this incredible club. Social media is very important nowadays. We use it from the first minute when we wake up till the last minute before we go to sleep. And we use it for everything. Chatting with our friends, making maybe arrangements for the next meeting when we're working, just having good time, watching videos, posting, sharing. We love social media. The system nowadays works because of social media. And according to Global Web Index, which is a platform that makes different reports about social media and how we use it nowadays, we can see that an average of time we spend by day is 2 hours and 22 minutes. I'm not talking necessarily about email, just about social media, socializing and sharing. The crazy thing is that every year we can see how it's improving. I don't know if you remember, but at least 2 years ago, I wasn't that attached to my phone as nowadays. Now, let's go over regions. If we go to Africa, guys, apparently we're using more social media than different other countries. So in here, at least, it's 3 hours and 10 minutes. And if we analyze that we're awake at least for 16 hours a day, it's a lot. What are we doing with that? So what we cannot say is that social media is incredible. By all this time, it makes our life easier, more enjoyable. We are having much fun than with all times before. But if we take some minutes to start analyzing, you can realize that actually social media could be against humanity. So for that, I will tell you some personal experiences and some analysis I made about this. First of all, social media is reducing the emotional connection we have. Why is this happening? So when we have like a conversation in a cafe, I can transmit you all the emotions I have. But what happens when we are on the phone? It's not actually working. For giving you an example, many times I have different fights with my friends because I was not understanding if the other person was angry, if it was a joke, if it was sarcasm, I don't know. And what happens at this point is that we get terribly stressed because we're just trying to figure out what's happening in the other mind of the other person. So we cannot transmit emotions. Now, if future generations are getting used to it, what's going to happen in the future? Are we going to stop transmitting emotions and what we feel to other people? Then we have the online cruelty, which I also would like to define as the phenomenon of trolling. So it looks like when we're using on social media, we have an immediately official license to talk bad about other people and being mean. Do you know the term haters?
Yes.
What happens if we go to one super hated artist on the latest video they post on YouTube and we go to the comments? It's so much hate, but really it's something very bad. So I read lots of articles about how artists are actually dealing with their social media. Even recently, different artists are closing their social media because they're that affected. They go to therapies. And I always think, what's happening in the minds of the users that is giving that kind of hate? Now, let's go to how it's reducing the communication skills. So, what about body language? What about gestures? I mean, I always love body language when I'm explaining something. We are losing that. So imagine future generations, like they're just gonna be attached to the phones and say and then explain everything online. So I always try to remember this scene about the movie Wall-E. I know it sounds very drastically, but people, imagine it actually happens. Like maybe there's gonna be one day that we will stop having like face-to-face communication and everything's gonna be online. Now, another thing that happened, and is the one that affects me the most, is the distorted perceptions. What's happening? So imagine you give likes to your friends often, very often, but all of a sudden you stop giving them likes. Then, the next meeting you have with your friends, it's like, hey, what's going on between us? Why did you stop giving the likes? Like, it's been a while you didn't comment any of my pictures. So they immediately start to think that there's a problem between you and they have a fight and you need to work on it, but it's just because you stopped using Instagram, or maybe you close it. And what happens when you make the unfollow? In my case, I follow things on Instagram that I want to see, interesting things, funny things. So sometimes, maybe I love Amber and he's one of my best friends, but I just don't like your content, so I give you a follow. That gave me, Charlie, what happened? Why you gave me a follow? It's like, people think that these things are actually about the relationship. It's not like that. It's just social media. It's what we want to see. Now, the last thing, it's about how we are inauthentic when we are not. There's two more. Everyone knows that scene. We're always texting, ha 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 ha, lol. But at the end, this is what is actually happening. So sometimes it's like, oh my god, I'm super pissed off with you, but at the end we're just like smiling when we're sending a message. So we're losing that too. And I know like different kids that they cannot even talk face to face with their boyfriends in the school because they just know how to do it on WhatsApp, but in real life, it's not happening. So the last thing is that what we are sharing on social media is not actually what we are. According to Forbes, Instagram is the application that generates much depression than any other. Why is that? Because when we show it, it's perfect. When you take a selfie of yourself, you try to look as good as possible. Then you make some addition and you add some filters and you look gorgeous. And when you go to the cafe, you try to ask for the more beautiful plate and you take this beautiful photo. So at the end, everything that we're seeing on the social media is not true. So it looks like at the end, social media is against us. It's damaging humanity. And what if we change it? What if we change the way we use it? So what if instead of going for social media against humanity, we go for social media for humanity? So I want you to challenge to something. As we all do fasting every year Ramadan, why don't we try doing a fasting on the weekends of our phone? Maybe don't use it on the Saturdays. Don't check your WhatsApp. Don't check your Instagram. At the beginning it's gonna be hard, but at the end your friends will understand. Why instead of posting, how's the great party I am, how delicious is my plate, we start posting how you managed to travel around Egypt, how you managed to get the super cheap hotel, how was the festival you went, why don't we share interesting things, good content, or funny things, not just trying to be fake people. So I think what I want you to know is that social media is an incredible resource we can use for many things, but it's about us if we want it to be against us or for us.